Welcome to Cat Unmuted. If you like what I share and all of that, please subscribe and like my videos. I still have a little congestion in the back of my sinuses, but I feel a hell of a lot better than last week. And yeah, so anyway, I wanted to share today about a couple of posts I saw on social media, from um, both posts were made by friends. One of them was the mention of an anniversary of their stillborn, and the other one was the anniversary of a lost friend. And I didn't really think about it, but the two posts, like, I saw them at the same time. And obviously, it brought back my recent memories of my miscarriage and realized um, during the time of the post, which was last week sometime, I can't remember which day it was, but it was just before, I want to say it was just before my miscarriage anniversary date, which was the 7th of April. Um, and honestly, I didn't even think about my miscarriage. I'm busy with all kinds of stuff. Um, yeah, so I saw these posts and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't. My miscarriage is my miscarriage anniversary. And I was like, all right, cool, and um, like it obviously made me think about what happened and the the heaviness of the loss. Um, but I didn't necessarily let it overwhelm me. It was more of a moment of reflection of what happened in my past. Um, yeah. So nothing big, right? Um, and just so you know, if you are watching me on a video, I'm going to be looking in this direction a lot. I'm trying something new. I have notes for the first time. This is what, episode 14 of the year? Yeah. I'm doing that for the first time just to see how it goes. Uh, yeah. Anyway, so with that said, um, while I was thinking about that, I also found myself thinking about how I should act. And I kind of realized that I was thinking about like the social socially accepted, so to speak, of grieving, right? Like in my case, I had a miscarriage, and a part of me felt like I should be crying and putting myself in the corner somewhere and letting this go through me. But I didn't feel like that. And I was like, is that wrong? Is it wrong for me to feel like I don't have to cry? Like, I've done a lot of work uh, towards this grief that I had, this loss, right? Like, I've done a lot of work in the past, especially during that first year right after I miscarried. I did a lot of work, and that was April of 2024. It is now April of 2026, and I feel okay. Is that wrong? And really, my answer is no, that's not wrong. Because, again, I have done the work. You know what I mean? So, like, um, just for a moment, am I grieving enough? Just for a moment, am I not devastated? Like, I let the social norm of grieving cloud my own judgment, if that makes any sense at all. Um, like, everybody grieves differently, right? Like, some people will make it, uh, in a sense, loud, like they have to be like hiccuping, crying, you know what I mean? To actually show that they're struggling with this memory. And other people might do like the two friends that I had make a couple of posts in honor of their lost loved ones, right? And others might just kind of go into their own little world for a little bit and grieve that way. What happened to me, I reminisced, and I realized I still have one thing that I kept from the miscarriage, which is a a planner slash notebook for pregnancies to basically keep up with everything that happened during each phase of the pregnancy so that you can reflect if needed, right? Because um, if there's something wrong or right, you want to know about it right away. And taking notes on every phase is the best way to do that, right? So I bought this notebook for this. And I wish I had it right here so I can show it to you. But I realized that I still had that, and honestly, I am so ready to let go completely of this loss. And in order for me to do that, I still have the notebook, but I feel like I should somehow, um, and uh, basically get rid of the notebook in a way that will make me feel right, or not make me feel right, but however I see right, to basically put that memory to rest a little bit better and know that I did everything I could, and I did. So really, there's nothing to grieve in the sense of what I did wrong during that time, and because I did everything I could. So with that said, I'm gonna put that notebook to rest because it brings me nothing. It serves me no good in in my situation today because I have nothing to notate, and I'm keeping it for what, just to remember how horribly devastating it was. Um, I do have one thing. A friend of mine gave me this right after the miscarriage. It's a little, uh, let me hold it up so that it's more visible, but it's called an angel baby. Look how adorable that thing is. So, like, this I'm gonna treasure forever. You know what I mean? Like, this brings me joy. This brings me uh like, I know that there's something out there more than just my baby that I had lost. And whatever this is going to be representing in the future, like, I look forward to it. But the point is, life still goes on, and I'm still enjoying it. And that's what this represents. With that said, everybody grieves differently, in remembrance, right? Like after the fact, um, and we all do it differently. That's the point. Um, uh, I'm trying to read what I wrote here. Um, so I wrote here about how like I felt peace, um, but that doesn't mean the memory doesn't exist. That doesn't mean I ignore this stuff, right? Like the memory exists. I cannot erase that. But that doesn't mean that peace cannot exist with grief. I don't believe that at all. When you have these memories and they pop things back up, like these posts on social media that made me think about my miscarriage, like I did question it, but I didn't question me. I questioned, um, am I like, because of social norms, am I grieving enough? Am I feeling the devastation I should be feeling? I don't. And that's okay. I have found peace within this this loss that I had 2 years ago. That doesn't mean I have to carry that grief all the way through. I have found peace with it. I'll still grieve in a way because things are going to trigger that memory back just like those posts did. But I have a choice, right? I get to choose what I want to do with that grief. I can choose to find a corner and cry myself to sleep. That sounds very, very depressing. Or I can choose to say, look at what that miscarriage brought me. It brought me a lot, so much. I, instead of thinking about the devastating shit that the miscarriage brought me, I actually thought about the aftermath. It is because of the pregnancy slash miscarriage that Josh and I started thinking about moving abroad. It was because of that situation that we started thinking about how we could make our life better. We wanted a better life for the future child, our future child, which we don't have anymore, but why can't we have that for us? And so instead of dropping all of our plans that we had made for uh, the baby that never became, we decided to keep it for us because we deserve to have a good life, right? Like, why are we still in the place that we were? Like, there's no reason for us to stay, is my point. The way it was before the miscarriage. The miscarriage or the pregnancy has changed everything. And then, not like about a month later, the miscarriage happened, and that changed everything as well. But we did not let that change our plans. And how beautiful is that? Because we are on our way, like, we just put our house on the market to go to Okinawa. I like, there's so much excitement in that. And the pregnancy and miscarriage is what brought this about. Like, yes, it's a scary thing to do, but we are genuinely excited for in a sense, unforeseeable future. Like, what's going to happen is going to happen, whatever that means. And I think there's excitement in being able to walk forward with that thought. My joke is having no plan is the plan. Anyway, that's another story though. So, anyway, um, the point of this part is that I don't have to grieve the way the societal norm has taught me to grieve. I can let peace exist with the grief. I don't need, and I don't choose to, let this grief take over me completely. Peace and joy can be with that. Now, there's a lot of uh, people that might try to do this and feel guilt. Because I'm not going to lie, there was a time when I did question. Because there was, I remember one time um, I felt like I was supposed to be grieving. I can't remember what happened. It was last year. Maybe it was the anniversary. I don't remember. The first anniversary. But what I do remember is how I felt. I was I was reminiscing. I was going through memories of what happened, and I felt like I should be crying more about what I was remembering. And, um, but I realized, kind of like what I just talked about, I realized that I don't, the societal norm doesn't have to be your norm. You have your own norm. Everybody has their individual norm. Like yes, we're all human, we do the same things, but we each individually have our own things that work for us. Um in the details, you know what I mean? We're doing the same thing. We're grieving. But how do you grieve? And I found joy in it. And you don't last year when I came across this first, I was like, well, if I don't grieve, if I'm not crying, does that mean I never had love for the child that I was supposed to have, and that I have lost the hope for having a child. I have like, or that I never cared, and none of that is true. Just because I didn't grieve doesn't mean I didn't care. Um, and like, let me rephrase that. I'm grieving in my own way, but because of how I've approached my grieving and came basically found peace with my situation, then it's actually really healthy that I didn't cry. I might shed a tear or two, but I'm not gonna break down crying and lose myself in it. You know what I mean? And um, that does not equal I don't care. That does not equal I didn't love. That does not equal uh, uh, what's the other word? Oh, that does not equal I am not grieving. Um, you can find your own truth in all of this. Like, if, let's say, I didn't process any of this properly, then, and I'm not crying about it and I'm just ignoring things, that's unhealthy. Like, you're literally, or I would be literally sweeping things under the rug and I just want to forget it. And then when something triggers me, then I'm going to go nuts. You know what I mean? That's not how things happen for me. I literally found peace with by looking at the whole situation that's been happening. It was the most devastating thing I have ever encountered in my life. It was the most physically painful thing I have ever experienced in my life. But it was also the best thing that's ever happened to me. It gave me the opportunity to look beyond my immediate horizons to everything I'm doing now. I have 3 books published about it. I never thought I could be a writer. I mean, you know, and now I'm going to Okinawa, Japan. Like, this is nuts. It's fucking crazy. You can say that I've gone unhinged. You know what I mean? So the point is, like, just because you have come to, or I have come to peace with my situation, and I have found joy, and I have found um, uh, peace and more love, and you know what I mean? That doesn't mean I'm not struggling, mind you. But because I'm struggling with other things in my life right now, and that can be another topic. But the point is, I'm not letting that memory dictate how I live my now. You know, um, oh, yeah, see, I wrote, I don't have to stay in pain to prove that something mattered. It mattered enough for these three books to happen. It mattered enough for us to choose to move out of the country. And mind you, it has nothing to do with politics. We made this decision because of several things. We want to be near water. I want to be closer to family because my brother lives in Tokyo. My mom's from Taiwan. Yes, we have family here, but um, uh, my family over here, um, the ones that were most important to me are no longer here, so there's no ties. Josh's family are here, but Josh is ready for an adventure. So, and he said that we can always visit, which I agree with him. We can always visit because I have tons of friends that I'm gonna definitely miss here. Anyway, that's not the point. Moving on. Um, let's see. So, when I saw this post, I didn't really think about it much, but in a sense, I want to say my body knew because again, when I was reading these posts, I didn't think anything of it. I just uh, like liked it with the heart or the emoji hugging a heart. You know what I mean? The care emoji, and for both of them, and um, uh, basically, I moved on. But there was a part of me that kept being pulled back to it. It might be my subconscious. It might be just body memory, you know? Like, I don't know. So, like, and that's what made me go through my memories in my head. Like, what's like, I can't explain what I was feeling, but I knew I was pulled back to it. And I did go back to reading the same post, and then I realized that I had this anniversary as well. Um, so my point is, with this part is that your brain and your body remembers these things, and it's gonna basically trigger a little something. In this case, I was so at peace with it that it didn't really like click that quickly. But when it did, I knew what to do. You know what I mean? And but it's interesting how my body and brain recognized it before, or my subconscious brain anyway, before my logical brain, the one that comes before anything else, my it didn't notice it as quickly as the subconscious and my body did. Whichever came first, who knows? I just know that it pulled me towards it. Um, um, yeah, I mean, because a loss of a friend and stillborn, like they're both grievances. So you're gonna unknowingly, I unknowingly connected my grief memories. um, they're showing, basically, they're sharing their grief. And it might be different kind of grief, so to speak, because it's a lost friend and a stillborn. But uh, it doesn't matter what it is, grief is grief. And it's still going to trigger a memory of any form of grief within you. It could be the grief of somebody who didn't even pass away. Like, for example, let's say um, people who had to give up their pets, for example. Um, they would have to grieve the pets that they wish they could keep, And I'm thinking about a friend who had issues with what was it, the um, pet pet lodging or whatever. Um, she had some financial um, situations and couldn't pay, like, she had the deposit down and everything, but at the end of the day she couldn't pay everything she needed to pay. And the owners of this lodging, and this is in a different country, by the way, so laws are different, but she couldn't get her pets back until she could pay them. And I'm sure there was a lot of grief in there. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't necessarily lose her dogs, but she kind of did, you know? So, my point is grief, and whatever it is that you're seeing may trigger you back to it, even if it's a different kind of loss. And in my case, I mean, again, I got pulled into it by again, it's not a loss of a friend. Um, and like, I've lost my dad in the past, but the miscarriage was the latest thing, but also it was the anniversary of the miscarriage. So, like, my brain, it took a second, but it took uh, it took it a second to connect. You know what I mean? Um, anyway, I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point. So the next part is, um, excuse me, let me drink some water before I keep coughing. Ooh, a little dry. Um, I mentioned that everybody grieves differently. Like, um, I gave myself permission to feel the grief, but also feel the peace in it, knowing that I am at peace. Um, if you're still struggling with that, like, there are things you can do to find peace within the grief, or with the grief, which I have done. So what I'm sharing right now, um, uh, is basically, there's no reason for us to feel guilty for not crying. I think we can all give ourselves permission to find peace and know that that doesn't mean you didn't care, because you did. I did. But that doesn't mean you can't connect peace to your grief. Um, if you gave yourself permission to grieve differently, feel the peace, and not have to feel the need to perform the pain, what would your grief feel like? It would be interesting to ask that question. What would your grief feel like if you gave yourself the permission to find the peace and grieve differently and not to have to perform the pain? What will it look like for you? So you don't owe grief a performance. However comes out is enough. And peace is not forgetting. It is integration. Integration. So I guess the main question, if you want to look into this today, is whenever you do grieve, what like how have you been questioning the way you grieve? Like in the sense uh, of grieving correctly. Does that make sense? Like where, how, whatever have you been questioning your emotional correctness, I guess I could say. So that would be the main question, along with, was the last question I asked. If you gave yourself permission to grieve the way you want to grieve, with peace, and basically have awareness in it without the performance. I mean, without the grieving performance, what would your grieving look like? It's those two questions. All right. Hopefully I was able to be a little bit more helpful in this one, since I have notes today instead of just talking. Feel free to like and share my video and my show, and I will see you next week. Bye.